So the other topic that we said we were going to talk about tonight was an update about the construction of the park and a planning application that is going to go on a public exhibition very shortly, seeking approval to demolish the Sydney Port's former Harbour Control Tower. Brian Ten Brink is a project director at the authority, and he's going to talk to you about both of those topics.
Thank you, Tony. Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Ten Brink. I'm a project director at the Barangaroo Delivery Authority. I've been there for 4 years. I am here mostly to tell you about the Harbour Control Tower, but before I jump into that, I'm too excited to go past the main project that I look after. I do look after the interim domain works and the permanent connection along the waterway that David's just mentioned from central to south, and also the upgrade in Millers Point. The jewel in the crown for us, though, is, and something that I'm excited to get up about every day, is what's happening out front, in front of us here. This is a great aerial shot from above Balmain, looking back into the Headland Park, and it's where we are right now. The size and the scale of this is very difficult to judge from where you're sitting, but it's about 50% complete on the earthworks. That's 110,000 cubic metres. That's a lot of dirt that's being moved. The Northern Cove is about, this doesn't show you where we are as of today. We're about 40% complete of that, and over 95% of all the earth that we're taking out of the ground is actually being reused into the project. We have completed all of the marine caisson works. So there's a large barge that's out here that's just tidying up its final work. It's removed all the caissons to make the naturalistic edge and the magic of the foreshore come alive. We've got this photo here is taken from Balmain. I don't know where many of you live, but I took the ferry across to Cockatoo Island this weekend and went right past the end of the foreshore there on the ferry, and it's looking fantastic, especially in the evening sun as you're going past the foreshore and seeing all the shadows and, along the blockwork and everything happen. We're seeing new marine life already appearing down by in the sandstone works, and all of the algae and everything is already colouring the zones in a very different way. Beautiful shot here. Here we can see some of the terraces that are occurring. We've got a lot of the plants that are going into the terraces, the trees, the shrubs and the grasses that are occurring. This is only showing 2 out of the 6 to 8 terraces that we'll have to make up the entire Headland Park that stretches 18 metres up above the shoreline. Here we can see it from a different view, a different angle, and you can see the lushness of what's occurring along these terraces here in order to get up that 18 metres. We still have over 12 more months of growth before this is realised, but I think it's very important to start showing all the construction work that's happening now so you can see the development of this for when it's opening up mid next year. Quite a lot of machinery happening on the foreshore. The permanent promenade works that are going in are now starting to be realised. We've got a 10 metres of a pathway that skirts along in between the edge of the hill and the beginning of the sandstone that all of us are going to be able to enjoy to complete that 14-kilometre walk that goes from Woolloomooloo to the Anzac Bridge. This is the sandstone that I've talked a lot about. I don't know if many of you went to the open day that we had last year, but I spent 4 hours talking about how much I am in love with the sandstone. But when you get out onto the foreshore, you'll see what I mean. The blocks here are massive. They're 7 to 15 tonne in size. There's over 9,000 of them that they've placed in the water's edge that goes underneath the water and all the way up to the foreshore edge. And you can climb down them and climb up them. There's always a pathway for you to do that. And we didn't just choose one pattern. I say we. Peter Walker, of course, was the designer behind this, but there's multiple patterns to create a diversity of interest along the water's edge. Let's see if I can keep going. Can I get to the next slide, please? It's not working. Here we go. So this is the Northern Cove where they're digging. This is what they call a long reach excavator, which has done a brunt of a lot of the foreshore work that we've had done to date. It's an awkward looking machine, but an amazing piece that will deliver that 3 metre deep cove that over 95% of the watercraft that operate on the harbour will be able to navigate that cove at that time later on. The opening has surprised a lot of people. The actual size of the throat of the northern cove is quite large. It's over 100 metres wide on that edge, and it comes all the way within 20 metres of Hickson Road. So as you drive past, the water will be right there up against you in your view as you drive past on Hickson Road. Here we are, is a different shot. So that was the environment that's outside. This is the environment that's inside. This is a little gem that we've preserved. We took an opportunity when we did the feasibility for the Headland Park, and we made a choice to preserve a space for future cultural use. This could have been dirt. This could have just been filled up against the existing sandstone cliff walls on our left-hand side, but we chose to preserve this. So what we've got here is a 300-space car park within the excavation zone that we took all of the sandstone out to then make the foreshore, and we put the car park back in there. There's 300 spaces that go into that. The access of that will be from Towns Place. Cars will come through a tunnel, drive along the beautiful sandstone wall with the natural skylights open up next to them, and duck down underneath that future cultural space. There'll be a lift access that'll connect all of the levels, even all the way up to the top of the park at the farther end where our new tower crane is sitting. These walls here are 18 metres in height, and they're some of the most robust retaining walls that you'll ever see. They're built to go 100 plus years in their design life. Structural engineers don't like doing that, so they just throw everything in the kitchen sink at it. It's got more buttresses than you can imagine, but that will hold back the earth on one side. That earth will continue building up, and then we're using bridge technology. We put in large spanning beams, up to 30 metre spans on the inside of this, and the earth will come right over the top and just kiss the edge of Merriman Street. So you'll be able to walk right off the edge of Merriman Street onto the top of the park whenever you like. This space inside is preserved. As I said, the use hasn't yet been determined. There is consultation going on at the moment to see what use might look to fill that gap or that opportunity. The building's 6,500 square metres in footprint. It could go up to 15,000 to 18,000 square metres in gross floor area once you put floors in. It's been designed to take multiple floors. It's been designed to take a large capacity of people in the future. All the fire stairs are in there. All of the power, electrical, lighting and everything is ready to connect into when that gets fitted out. So now I'll move on to the Harbour Control Tower, which was the second part of why I'm here today, maybe the main part. So the Harbour Control Tower has been standing on the site since 1974. This year it's 40 years old. It was put onto the site at a time when the Maritime Services Board felt that there was a real large requirement to watch the navigation of the harbour. At that time that it was actually built as in a temporary fashion, in that the strategy was to relocate all of the roll-on, roll-off shipping that was happening in this area into Botany Bay. So it's been there ever since, and it's been operating since 74. It wasn't until about 92 that it actually came into and centralised all of its activities into that tower. It's been decommissioned now for a few years. The authority acquired it from Sydney Ports Corporation in 2012, but they had already relocated all of their services out into Botany Bay. So it's been in a redundant use for a couple of years now. The tower is 87 metres tall from the ground. At the base of the tower, there are generator rooms and stairs. There's a lift that connects the tower up 18 metres to Merriman Street, so there's another access there that many of the people who live in that area would be familiar with, surrounded by a metal cage. And then you travel up to the first deck here, and there are 3 decks. The lift only goes up to the first deck here. You get off at that stair. You've got staff rooms, you've got technology level, and then at the top level you've got the platform where the operators used to sit and be able to look out down at the harbour here. There's a bit of a big brother window there looking down on people, but you have to go up the fire stairs to get up to that point. It's a reinforced concrete shaft that was specifically designed for one use, and that was to control the navigation in the harbour. when the Ports was using this, there was a strict restriction on the number of people that could actually go up to the top of the tower. We've had experiences already with the lift breaking down. It's a small lift to get up to the top. I'm leading into a bit why we are removing the tower, but that is the description of what's happened inside of it. So we had to make an assessment on what to do with the tower. At first, it struck us as an opportunity. There are three things that you could possibly do with the tower. One is leave it, don't touch it. Second is adaptively reuse it. And the third one is to remove it. In the adaptive reuse, that's probably the area that evokes the most imagination for many people, including myself when I first approached the issue of what to do here. And we looked at a range of different things that could happen. First, we sat down with our structural engineers and did an assessment on, it's a 40-year-old structure. It was designed for this. What can we do with it? The engineer came back and said, look, the concrete and the shaft is okay, but you've got some severe restrictions when it comes to modifying it in some way. And we said, okay, what are those? And they gave some sort of parameters, and we tried to apply different things that you could do with it. The second thing we did is we looked at what are the building code requirements today, which are very strict. The building code does not conform to building code. Just with accessibility, with fire and the like, it poses a big issue if you were to bring public up there, or if you were to adapt it into some other use. You have to spend quite a bit of money before you actually can see the results of that. And we looked at a range of different opportunities, from big things to small ideas. We talked to the market, the industry, to see, just to couch, are there some interest in turning this into something that we haven't thought of? People love the view. I love the view. But after visiting that and seeing some of the restrictions on it, there was dead silence when it came to interest. We have received some unsolicited proposals from different people from a design perspective of suggesting it could go through, it could be this or it could be that. We have looked at them, and it's just posed such a great cost imperative on the project that it made it difficult for us to proceed with that option. The second option, or it was the first, is the retention of it. You could call it mothballing it, or just keeping it as is. Why change anything if it's not broken? Just leave it there. Yes, you could leave it there. There's two main drivers behind why that wasn't the preferred choice to go down. One of them has to do with the future generations of Sydney-siders and people of New South Wales. We're building a 200-year vision park here. I'm going to be able to bring my grandchildren here. They would also have to fund the mothballing of this structure. It is not cheap. You can't just leave a structure there and then walk away from it. You have to conduct pretty serious works to it to keep it up. So that's one issue with actually just keeping it there. It costs the taxpayers money. The second one, and it's an even stronger point, has to do with the overall vision of Barangaroo. And Barangaroo is it's a naturalistic recreation of what we did once have within this area. The Headland Park itself used to be there, and we're putting it back. The tower is a very prominent, very powerful and bold statement that sits inside of Millers Point and on the harbour. And it wasn't until I saw these visualisations, which we prepared for the planning modification, that I was fully convinced of what it means to remove it. And it just takes it away. Now, there could be some differences of opinion on that. I've spoken to a number of people on it, and some say keep it, some say don't. I know it's a subjective view, but the overall vision of Barangaroo was to return it to a naturalistic piece. There's another view that we've done, and this one inside of Millers Point. It is a very dominant form. If you live there, you're probably used to it. If you don't, you come there and it's the biggest thing that you see. The palisade is pretty big, but you can't go past this. And then once you take that away, if I can move it up, you've just got Millers Point in its original form. It is a smaller density area, and that was the way it was for many years before the tower was built. So we've looked to not forget our history. Our proposal that will be going in front of, it's now called the Department of Planning and Environment. They've just recently changed their name, which will go on exhibition tomorrow and be on exhibition for 1 month. Doesn't seek to forget, it seeks to keep a lasting memory of the tower and the maritime past. Within the proposal, we have the memory of the tower integrated into the landscape. Here you can see a computer visualisation of it nestled into the landscape along Merriman Street, and in the background you have Klein Reserve. This is the retention of a portion of the tower that you see on top of the park, and it's also a skylight that works with the other skylights that are within the design of the parkland itself, and it provides a very unique oculus. So inside of the space, it gives the future users and the fit out of that space an ability to create something quite unique as this circular beam of natural light comes and moves across the sandstone during the day and across the floor. Along the base of it, we would have the heritage interpretation of maritime in the area, but it's taken away its dominant form in the vision and left the memory of that for the generations to come. So that's the end of the slides on that, and I'm happy to take any questions if you like at this time.
If you don't want to keep the thing at the original height, then can you just chop it down and have a viewing platform, let's say 30 feet above treetop level or something like that, where people can easily walk up?
Yeah.
And I can't imagine that the Building Code of Australia would have problems with this that it wouldn't have with the Centrepoint Tower. And there are other structures that don't fit in with the Building Code of Australia as well. So there are certain things, but you've just got to think about egress and access, etc.
Heritage does give you some of those abilities, to put in a building that doesn't meet all the code compliance. You usually have to do a lot of fire engineering work, which costs a lot of money as well behind the scenes in order to make them work. Look, Centrepoint Tower was built for a different function than this, and unfortunately it wasn't built just to house less than 6 people. I think it was about 4 maximum that were allowed up there at any one time. Can we cut it down, halfway and put a platform on? Yes, we can. Anything is possible. It would be an amount of money that someone wants to throw at it in order to make that possible, and then does it fit into the overall vision? So I wouldn't say no to any of those. I'd say that we have assessed and looked at all of those, but it just led us down to the logical conclusion that it was better for the city and the state if we actually removed it.
Before you take it down, is it possible for people to go up there to have a look at the view?
I guess you're not one of the lucky ones that did get invited to go up there. We did have some community. We invited the community to go up. I don't know how many actually took part in that, but we have done some visitation on it. We are kind of stretched to run a program up on that, but we could look at an opportunity for that potentially.
I've just got a question about the foreshore promenade, and I keep on hearing the word permanent, that this is going to be permanent. Can we get some sort of deep thought and potentially even a commitment that this will be permanent throughout the year? And I'm primarily thinking of what happens to the pathway near Mrs. Pocori's chair, at certain times of the year, like when the opera is on, that's completely blocked off.
Yeah.
And I can envisage that this is going to happen when there's concerts, when there's a ship there or whatever. So can we make sure that it's permanent throughout the year, not just a permanent
democracy of space. It's a recent question I know that's come up in the newspapers about the Botanic Gardens and the like. The parkland is a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week accessible area. You can go there at any point in time. The pathways are designed, they're about 10 metres, 2 5-metre wide pathways. They're very large structures. In the future, if you know, when I'm gone and it's 15 years down the road and someone decides that they want to stage something on there, I cannot answer that question. I cannot guarantee it. You're not able to put those sorts of restrictions on a public domain, but I can say that the intention is for it to remain open for the public use. It's been locked off for many, many years, and it is now open up for the public. So if there is a closing down of that argument would have to happen if that was proposed. Right now it's not.
We're happy to take questions either via email or phone us with specific things that you might want to ask us about. That's our email address and our website that contains lots of information. If you have some questions that we haven't answered tonight, which you obviously do, we're happy to take those and get back to you individually. We want to thank you all for coming this evening. There are contact cards that were on your chairs and at the registration desk with our contact details, so you can get in contact with us. We have things on website, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, so like, share, comment on all of those mediums if you want to stay up to date with what we're doing. Thank you very much again for joining us this evening. I hope you found it very informative, and we look forward to seeing you again at future events. Thank you very much.